Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a watch launched in 2021. This is the latest Rolex Oyster Perpetual 36mm, reference 126000. It is 36 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel, 11.8 millimeters thick, and from lug to lug, 43.4 millimeters with an end-link to end-link total distance across the wrist of 45.5 millimeters. The spacing between the lugs is 20 millimeters. Taking a quick look at the watch on my wrist. Classic 36mm Rolex. It wears well. It's very short across the wrist. You can see it's nowhere near the edges of my arm. So you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 13 centimeters in circumference, and you can see it slides easily underneath the cuff. Rolex makes its own cases, clasps, and bracelets. It has its own foundry, and it makes its own steel. It makes 904L steel. Now, they're not the only company to use this, but they are the most prolific user of this type of steel, which is more resistant to corrosion, a little bit like Zinn U-boat style. This doesn't need to be rinsed after exposure to salt. That's its cardinal advantage. The same is true after exposure to sweat. It doesn't corrode the way 316 can. The bracelet is all of satin finish with the exception of the bracelet link flanks, which are polished. We have removable links for sizing the bracelet. You can see a number of removable links on each side. We have a lift lock system with a beak and a hook, and you can see that keeps the clasp shut like so. You lift it to unlatch it. And then this being the Oyster Perpetual, we have the little embossed Rolex 5-point coronet and satin finish on the top with polish on the flank. But a feature new for 2021 to the Oyster Perpetual is the 5mm tool-free Easy Link adjustment system. This can be used for tool-free adjustment of the watch. And then you can see there are also 3 divots drilled inside the clasp. It's in the middle one right now, and you can use the strap tool to change the anchoring point of the bracelet inside the clasp to fine-tune the size. Oyster case. The Oyster Perpetual has been in production since 1933 when the combination of the Oyster water-resistant case from 1926 combined with 1933's Perpetual rotor winding system, creating the first Oyster Perpetual and also the first modern format Rolex sports watch. We still have that Oyster case, screw-down twin-lock crown, 100-meter water resistance. The bezel is polished. The case flank is polished, the lug hoods are satin, and you can see that the watch has the domed bezel, another nod to the so-called bubble back era of the Oyster Perpetual, the earliest watches. Green dial. It is a gloss lacquer green, beautifully deep and lustrous. It almost looks like wet paint. White gold Rolex crown, white gold hands, white gold indices for outstanding corrosion resistance over time that will not tarnish or change color. We have Rolex's proprietary Chromolite blue lume. Underneath the case back, you can see we have Rolex caliber 3230. Well, you're going to see in the mind's eye because Rolex continues to use solid casebacks to keep their watches relatively thin. The movement's actually quite well finished for a mass-produced caliber, and it has a 70-hour automatic winding power reserve, bidirectional winding action. Now the rotor is on a ball bearing rather than the old 3130s jeweled staff. So we have a ball bearing rotor system for greater shock tolerance, a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance for the same reasons, shock tolerance. We have an overcoil hairspring made of blue oxidized niobium zirconium. It is a highly anti-magnetic alloy, and the overcoil helps the watch pass the chronometer test, which involves testing in 5 physical positions. Rolex then cases up the chronometer certified movement and tests in 6 positions as a fully assembled watch, and it has to keep time no worse than -2 + 2 seconds per day. That is the basis for this term superlative chronometer in the modern era, far beyond the COSC requirements. 31 joules, it beats away at 8 beats per second. It does have a hacking or stop seconds function. It is a very tough, accurate, shock-resistant, and anti-magnetic movement inside a water-resistant case. This is a watch for all seasons and all wrists. Reach out to tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.